everyone, it's Miss Smith. Today we're going to be talking about Listen and Learn, and we're going to be talking about in Listen and Learn are the 4 seasons. So we've been kind of talking about the changes of spring to summer to fall to winter, and the differences if you're on the northern hemisphere, so the top part of the earth, or the bottom part of the earth, and how different parts of the world are impacted, so how they are affected by certain things. So let's get started. So we have this image, and that is a sun, and then it looks like the orbit. So that is when a planet goes around the sun. Do you know why many planets or plants grow more rapid in the summer and slow and not at all during the winter? Or why some animals migrate or hibernate? Certain parts of our planets have seasons. This is because of the shape and the tilt of our Earth. The region around the equator receives the most direct sunlight. This region of Earth is called the tropical region because it's always hot and humid. The North and the South poles receive the least amount of sunlight. The polar regions of the Earth generally remain cold and dry. In recent years, however, the Earth's overall climate has changed and become warmer. The polar regions, so the cold areas, are warming up too. The ice caps in this region have been melting. The region between the poles on either side of the equator is called the temperate region. In this region of the world where we live, most places experience seasons all over the year. Okay, so here is our next picture. Okay, so we have, it is so zoomed in. Here we go. So we have the sun. And then what happens is as we move on different parts and sections of the sun, as we orbit the different parts, the different seasons are formed. So let's read about it. Remember during the time of the year when the northern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun, this part of our world receives more daylight, more intense sunlight. This means it's summertime in the northern hemisphere. At the same time, the southern hemisphere is tilted away from the sun, so it is winter there. That is why the Earth revolves around the sun on a tilted axis. The seasons change. Now let's discover more information about each specific season. As the year passes in the temperate region, all over the world changes the weather. The weather cycles have been divided up into what we call seasons. Each season brings incredible changes around the world. In spring, daylight hours increase and the sunlight becomes very strong. With warmer weather, more rain begins to fall. With increased sunlight, warmth, rain, plants begin to grow. Seeds resting in the soil begin to take root. The warmth from the sun and the rain enables the seeds to germinate and grow into plants. You have probably heard the saying, April showers bring May flowers. New plants emerge, and plants that have been inactive for the winter become active and start growing again. As buds and leaves form, water is absorbed or taken in by the plants traveling up the stem of the leaves. Plants use the water and sunlight to make their own food as well as oxygen to breathe. This process is called photosynthesis. It is springtime and great bursts of life and energy occur. Springtime also sees the return of animals that migrated or moved to warmer places during the wintertime. It's also the time when some animals wake up from their hibernation. Spring is when many animals give birth to their young. Animals give birth either by burying live young or by laying eggs. Animals that give birth to young have nourished their young inside their bodies. Animals hatched from eggs have been nourished with a yolk within the egg. Because the northern hemisphere receives more sunlight than from the sun at a more direct angle from the summer, temperatures are usually at their highest during the summer. With the increase of light and heat in the summer, plants grow big and strong. Young animals are born and grow strong due to this time as well. In autumn, fall, the earth revolves around the summer, or revolves, and summer turns into autumn. Both the temperature and environment begin to change again. In autumn, while it is still warm, light from the sun is not as intense, and the growth and development of plants and animals begin to slow down. In many places in the northern hemisphere, autumn is the time to harvest crops that have grown and ripened during the summer sun. Leaves change colors in autumn because deciduous trees receive less sunlight than they need to produce food, and photosynthesis stops. When photosynthesis stops, these leaves begin to die and fall off. Therefore, deciduous trees and trees that have leaves change color and fall off. The northern winter, while winter arrives, it means that the part of this earth is now tilted away from the sun, and temperatures and sunlight are at a minimum, so at the lowest point. It also means summer has arrived in the southern hemisphere because conditions are less favorable for things living in the winter. Growth and development slows down and even stops. During winter, deciduous trees, as well as many other plants, enter a dormant state, so they just stop. You don't see leaves on trees, everything stops growing. So the animals in the winter, they migrate. So it's cold here, so they migrate south and they go find somewhere warm. But in the south, they're going to migrate north, so they go up to the equator. So they're going, regardless if you're up or down, you're going to go to the middle of the earth, go to the equator, or somewhere warmer towards the equator. And that is how they live. So then it becomes spring again, and we're all part of a never-ending cycle. When spring returns, the cycle of the growth will begin and new life will appear. So spring brings life back, and then it all happens again. All right, guys.